The BMW 5 Series has been around for over half a century and is now entering its 8th generation. For the first time ever, it got a fully electric version called the i5. This new G60 model offers a completely redesigned exterior, interior, and new set of drivetrains for a vastly more modern user experience. Exterior. Interior, storage and practicalities, driving experience, tech features, ride comfort, cabin noise, acceleration and braking and consumption, charging speed, competition, verdict. The 5 Series is renowned all around the world for providing luxury, utility, and family practicality in one stylish-looking package. It has always been among the best sellers of the 6.1 PHT. Seller anti-pedo was HP, what the government said, and Adept come from Microsoft, and then the EV. The test model that we have today is the BMW i5 M60, which has AWD enabled by 2 motors, one in the front and one in the back. So this results in a combined power output of 442 kilowatts and a claimed 0 to 100 kilometers per hour time of just 3.8 seconds. BMW has blessed the new 5 Series with just about every piece of the latest technology from the Big Brother. The 7 Series had an interior that oozes luxury. It is no doubt this is the most advanced 5 Series to date, but we now set off to test how well it performs on the road. 5,260 millimeters by 1,900 millimeters by 1,505 millimeters, 2,995 millimeter wheelbase and midroom, and the drivetrain is DH 5742 kilowatt 5.8 and 144 795 usable battery capacity. Other drivetrains, eDrive 40-RWD, 250 kWh, 40 horsepower, 430 newton meter, 81.2 kWh usable battery capacity, 83.9 kW total battery capacity, charging 205 kilowatt CCS, 10 to 80% in 30 minutes, range 516 kilometers, WLTP 412 kilometer EPA. Weight 2,380 kilograms unladen. Other features: onboard games, autonomous steering, augmented reality, OTA updates, and for the i5, BMW got rid of the grotesquely huge kidney grills that recently sparked great controversies around the internet. As a result, the i5 is significantly more restricted than the i7. From the front, the resemblance with newer Skoda models, and the Superb in particular, is uncanny. This is mainly due to the 2 indented lines in the hood, leading to the BMW logo, though, as well as the Dell and pointing headlights. The headlights themselves are almost identical to most other BMW models when it comes to light signature, even if their housing is completely different. They light up the road, but they're still going ahead perfectly, creating little tunnels that don't blind incoming traffic, but let you see perfectly where you're going. The kidney grill serves no purpose in the i5 other than radars, as the EV variant doesn't need much cooling, yet they can be lit up in the dark, creating a unique outlook and making the i5 incredibly distinctive. It is arguably not the best way to stand out, though, as the whole thing looks very tacky. I've been kind of trying to claim it by other twos, but start and signed, it was what they're made use cast sale. The lower skirt in the front of the i5 M60 is incredibly aggressive with 2 sharp vents on each end, as well as a massive center one. If you go for the eDrive 40 version of the i5, you will get a significantly more restrained front end. Looking at the i5 from the side, it is unmistakably a BMW. The traditional Hofmeister kink on the C-pillar is underlined by a prominent 5 readout. This is probably the helpful for passersby, as this generation has gotten 13 centimeters longer than the previous G30 generation and is just as long as the outgoing G11 7 Series. The carbon wing mirrors on the side used to be reserved for true M cars, yet here they are on the i5 M60, underlying the importance of this model for BMW. Of course, this comes as part of an expensive option called the M-Carbon exterior, which costs around €1,850. The door handles on the other side bring us to a darker age when manufacturers put on the same type of upward opening handles in virtually any Econobox up until the mid-2000s. They are very out of place in the new 5 Series, creating a cheap and unpleasant feeling, which is not ideal for something you use every time you get into the car. The wheels on the i5 come in many variants ranging from 19 to 21 inches in size, with our model having the 20-inch M Sport wheels. They fit the i5, so while striking a fine balance between looks, ride comfort, and consumption, the rear end of the new 5 Series looks like a refresh of the previous G30 generation.
The taillights have 2 straight horizontal LED strips on each side, creating a unique look. But they are unlike any other BMW in the past, so if you first see them in the dark, you may not recognize it as one.
The i5 M60 comes with a settle carbon spoiler, which gives it a mean look and once again show great attention to detail. The most aggressive bit in the other back is undoubtedly the massive diffuser, which wouldn't look out of place in a true M car. Overall, the design of the BMW i5 M60 fits a sporty sedan with 601 horsepower well enough. It balances extravagance and traditionalism well while carries some of BMW's most distinctive features. The inside of the BMW i5 M60 is arguably the best bit about the car. The interior sticks close to the BMW i7's has review here, but tones it down a little. We were amazed by the materials in the i7, whereas in the i5, we are just satisfied and understandable, as BMW wouldn't want the i5 step on its big brother's toes. The i5 still has stellar build quality and offers heaps of luxury and cool tech inside. The front features a giant light bar spanning all the way from one door through the dashboard to the other. It looks as if it's made of crystals, and putting you hot can light up in multiple colors, creating a cozy atmosphere. Its only downside is that its glass housing is embossed and reflects a lot of sun rays into your eyes while driving, which is also true for the other crystal elements in the interior. You need to look closely to spot the air vents, as they're well hidden. Integrated almost seamlessly in the dashboard, they enable a clean and undisturbed look that we really like. The chunky steering wheel controls multiple features of the gauge cluster and the head-up display. These two displays offer crisp image quality and multiple configuration options to let you personalize your driving experience. A couple of parts where BMW truly dropped the ball in terms of material quality are the stalks behind the steering wheel. Despite seeing frequent use, they feel as a cheap, cost-cutting solution, which was executed in one of the worst possible ways. We are not sure how much BMW saved going with these cheap pieces of plastic, but we really don't think it was worth the drive experience not. The dashboard houses the 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster and a huge 14.9-inch infotainment display in one giant curved unit. The integration in the dashboard looks like an afterthought, yet the two screens provide an amazing array of features we will come back to in a bit. Right below the center screen and incorporated into the interior LED bar are the controls for frequently used AC features. All the rest are hidden in the center screen, as well as the hazard lights, which we mentioned as a safety concern in the i7 review as well. The hazard lights are once more a touch-sensitive button of poor feedback that works unreliably and also lights up the whole car when pressed. A frankly poor solution for such an important safety feature. Moving on to the lower part of the dash, we spot a small storage area with wireless charging and cup holders. Behind them is a beautiful crystal unit that has the iDrive controller, the gear selector, and other vehicle settings and adjustments. Everything looks pretty and very upscale, but is also a fingerprint magnet with its polished finish. The small fidgety gear selector looks a bit comical in such a stately and prominent vehicle, but it's not taking anything away from the overall look of the interior. And the armrest isn't as deep as some other EVs, since the i5 is based on a conventional ICE platform, and the middle is where the drivetrain, gearbox, and other elements would be, hence the decreased storage space. The seats in the i5 M60 are very soft and comfortable, providing sufficient support so that you stay in place while cornering. A model was equipped with the optional heated and cooled seats, while you can also add massaging for all 4 seats. The doors have the controls for the seats that are, once again, touch-sensitive buttons on the LED strip, but in this case, it is not a vital function, and we don't mind them being as is. Another suboptimal element is the lower part of the door where the window switches are located. The buttons in the entire area feature some of the worst plastics on the market. Even on a brand new vehicle like our test model, they were starting to show signs of wear. And we can only imagine their conditions after a few years of use. On the upside, beyond this area, and the stocks, the material quality is of the highest standard, and the fit and finish is sublime. Complete lack of creaking. In the back seats, when it's time to hop in the back seats, we immediately notice what that increased size of the new i5 brings. There is considerably more space in back compared to the old 5 Series G30 generation, and is similar to what we'd previously get in a 7 Series. Even our 195 tall reviewer had no problem fitting comfortably in the back with plenty of space left above his head and in front of his legs. You also get other luxuries like rear seat, climate control, heated rear seats, blinds, and a mount with USB chargers on the back of the front seats to attach the tablet. Contrary to previous 5 Series models, rear seat entertainment with built-in displays is not offered, at least not at this point. The sunroof you get in the i5 is a big letdown as it doesn't open. Its cover also moves from the back to the front, which is unusual, is not necessarily an issue. And overall, the interior of the i5 exudes luxury and is a pleasant place to spend your time in. The 2 places where more substantial cost-cutting occurred, some take a brilliance, but would still give it a good mark in the end. Storing items in the i5 is easy with a boxy trunk and some clever storage pockets, allowing for a combined 490 liters of trunk space, which is 30 liters less than the conventional 5 Series of the same model. The rear seats fold down individually, enabling you to create a much bigger storage area. And sadly, BMW thinks that nobody uses the frunk, and therefore none of their models have one. Instead, you get a giant plastic cover that hides all of the electronics that the i5 has, even though there clearly is more than enough space left that could have served for a frunk. And 560. I mean, driving the i5 M60 is a unique experience. We recommend you try if given the chance. And despite its length and weight, the cornering it offers is mind-boggling. And no matter how you throw the i5 into a corner, it will always grip and ask you to go even harder. The word understeer
does not feature into the i5 dictionary, and giant sedan just eats up the road ahead.
A business and family-oriented vehicle should also excel in luxury and comfort, right? That is exactly what the i5 brings to the table. Thanks to the optional adaptive M2 suspension professional, with the press of a button, the i5 M60 transforms from a racetrack missile to a luxurious cruiser in its most comfortable setting. And not even an active earlier this setup sees, but join the first hour. Putting these setup sees is a back point. The point of camp, the i5 M60 is amongst the best modern sedans when it comes to driving experience. And technology and assistance play a major role while driving the i5, even if at times this may prove as a double-edged sword. On the one hand, technical advancements allow it to be that good for driving and help it handle the excessive weight, but on the other, some features annoy and even distract you. One great example of that is the constant beeping sound when the speed limit assistant is active. It is a great feature which shows you the current speed limit, but for some reason European regulations have made it so that it has to beep at you when you exceed the limit, and also beep every time there is a change in the limit itself. It can be turned off, but the next time you start the i5, the settings reset, so you have to do it again. And then, while some assistance may be irritating, others are more helpful. And if you have cruise control on and you're pressed on the turn signal, the i5 will automatically change lanes when you tilt your head into the same direction. This was very useful when you're on a long highway. Just sit back, relax, and let the BMW i5 do the 99% of your work. And his first question, how really can get cross to? The BMW i5 is an immensely capable vehicle in all categories and will be your loyal companion in every endeavor, from sporty driving, from carrying your kids to school. The i5 M60 performs at the highest level. The BMW i5 is a tech galore, and this becomes obvious the moment you step inside. The big infotainment screen comes with BMW's latest iDrive 8.5 iteration, which will soon be available for all current owners who have the 8.0 generation. The central screen can be operated by touch or via the crystal knobs in the center console, or even voice commands. The i5 M60 comes with the BMW's connected services, which gives you internet access and multiple online features. But this has sadly become a subscription feature and not a lifetime option for as it used to be. Connected services enable the car to get OTA updates and get all of the latest features available. It also lets you use the built-in navigation to evade traffic jams or just enjoy the latest sports news or some YouTube videos. An important feature that will soon come to the iDrive 8.5 is the Apple CarPlay will also connect to the gauge cluster and, if optioned, head-up control unit. This way you can use your phone as your car's brain, but when needed, have the car's native interface at hand too. A fun way to spend time while waiting in the i5 is to play the built-in games the i5 offers. There is a set of Nintendo-like games available, and all you need is your phone to use as a controller. If you want to find how that works, check out our dedicated gaming review. You can also take selfies in the car or use the external cameras as video recorders. This can be a useful surveillance feature or just a fun way to help capture silly moments. Almost strangely, it's a feature not many vehicles have, albeit most modern cars come with a number of cameras. Annoyingly, most AC settings are hidden deep down in menus of the infotainment touchscreen, so it takes a bit of time to find where each one is located. A fun feature taken directly from the i7 are the different drive modes and how they change the atmosphere inside. There are several different preset menus that completely change the vibe and directly interfere with the feel of the vehicle. Sport puts the car in its stillest configuration, but
but it also plays different sounds when accelerating and lights up the whole interior in red. Personal is the customizable mode the car starts in, and efficient cuts power down to optimize your range.
Expressive, relax, and digital art are modes that don't necessarily change the driving characteristics but adjust the atmosphere inside the cabin. They change the volume of the stereo, the auction, and waif all the prize. We have got the D-Pro Circus in here to the gauge cluster is taken straight from the BMW i7, which means it has optional augmented reality when using navigation, as well as multiple programmable visualizations so that the information shown matches exactly what you want to see. The head-up display is nice and deep with a wide field of projection. It shows all types of data that you may need. You can always adjust what you want and don't want it to display. The ride of the BMW i5 is soft but not floaty. If you wish, you can dial the dampers for a sportier feel and get a harsher ride in for exchange for better cornering. On our bumpy test track, the i5 proved itself to be a solid vehicle that confidently ran over bumps and potholes. But at speed, we could definitely sense the huge weight when the nose started dieting, even before the front tires had reached the ground. With bigger obstacles, the dampers have to bounce a few times before they calm the chassis down. But at speeds and in corners, the suspension works brilliantly in providing comfort to the passengers and giving enough feedback to the driver. The i5 is quiet inside, and we mean exceptionally quiet. The guys at BMW have done a masterful job in insulating the cabin from the surroundings, and the sound and levels are easily among the best we've measured. And then 60 kilometers per hour, 90 kilometers per hour, 130 kilometers an hour. The i5 M60 is by no means a sports car with its huge weight and giant size, but it is definitely quick from a dig. The claim time is millimeter 6 time regions that happens after more than 20 times months. To be easily beaten, and it's pretty much easily making a permination 20 months to 7 millimeters, Ivers millimeters, or 40 seconds. The M60 variant never leaves you wanting for more power and is a true highway hero. What prevents 747 day is a really tensive drag strip. And this is similarly to the acceleration. We didn't have optimal conditions for our braking test. The winter tires combined with the low ambient temperature and the wet road surface resulted in the building to completely stop from 100 kilometers per hour. If we get the chance to test the vehicle again in better conditions, we will be quick to simple as a slightly important in general and consider the update those stats. But as we got to drive the i5 in a proper European winter, it's understandably behind the other tested cars. Still, our subjective feeling was that the brakes work fine for the conditions, and the normal usage provided to do it on stopping for such a massive car. And the massive i5 M60 was never going to set any records when it comes to efficiency, but it still delivers decent range, and especially for a nice platform vehicle. And that we had to conduct our testing were far from optimal, which means the i5 has the potential to truly impress in better weather. 60 kilometers per hour, 90 kilometers per hour, 130 kilometers per hour. We suggest you use the widget below to find out the BMW i5 M60's range and every combination of speed and temperature you might need. We've used our real-world tests and a complex model to provide estimate that should be as close to the actual performance as possible. The i5 can charge at a maximum power of 205 kilowatts. This value was easily reached by us
even though the ambient temperature was well below 0 degrees Celsius due to the heat pump the model has. That helps it achieve a 10 to 80% charge in 30 minutes, which is pretty solid by the current standards.
The BMW i5 faces tough competition, facing rivals that have already been on the market for some time. And the public has gotten used to them. Where the i5 shines is with its advanced infotainment and premium interior, combined with big power and great driving feel. The first and most obvious competitor is the Mercedes EQE 43 AMG. The rivalry between the two brands is as old as time, and this time it's no different. The Mercedes offers next-level technology, especially factoring in the optional Hyperscreen. After i5 has better quality of interior materials and more storage space. Other than that, the two models offer similar stats, so it really depends on what you value most in a car when picking between the two. The other luxury offering in this segment is the Audi e-tron GT Quattro. It offers similar performance and much more aggressive looks. Range is the weak point of the main air, but same force. That means it's coming in, but if the main air source, it's inside the GT Quattro, the GT points and force mile will be resetting your face, thanks to the sportier handle and lower seating position. Guys at BMW knew that the 5 Series is their best respected model, and therefore creating a fully electric version had to be approached carefully. The badge weighs a lot in this case, but thankfully this masterfully engineered vehicle is well equipped to carry it, with its great attention to detail and a wide range of features. The i5, the M60, perfectly captures the essence of a 5 Air, while adding a generous serving of modernity. The i5 N60 drives like a proper sports sedan should, without sacrificing luxury or comfort. It just performs brilliantly on the road, no matter what you ask it to, and do that is good. The i5 M60 is also on the cutting edge when it comes to technology. Everything's quick to respond and easy to use with no glitches, irritating bugs, or, general sluggishness that still plague many cars these days. The main gripes we had with the i5 M60 are the cheap plastics used in some key surfaces, or the atrocious door handles that belong in the 90s, the slightly compromised trunk space compared to the ICE version, or the generally bland exterior design, are below par for the class. But none of these is truly a deal breaker, and the i5 remains a fantastic vehicle that carries the 5 Series name with pride. High-tech interior, exceptional build quality, very powerful and quick off the line, endless grip, amazing to drive, all kinds of driver and passenger comforts, multiple online services, and even onboard games. Some key places come with very cheap plastic materials, old-fashioned door handles, no frunk, no battery size options.